Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for January 31st. January 31st is the 31st day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 334 days remaining to the end of the year, 335 in leap years. Today's word is exile. Exile can be a noun or a verb. As a noun, exile can mean the state or period of forced absence from one's country or home, or the state or period of voluntary absence from one's country or home, or a person who is in exile. As a verb, exile means to banish or expel from one's own country or home. Exile. And with that, we're going to start on January 31st, 1865. The United States Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. That's the one that abolished slavery. Once passed, the amendment then was submitted to the states for ratification. Well, this is the birthday of author Zane Grey, born January 31st, 1872. Isn't that a great name, Zane Grey? His actual birth certificate name was Pearl Zane Grey. Pearl tends to be more of a woman's name, though. It's thought that his mother had seen an article in the newspaper about Queen Victoria's mourning clothes being pearl gray. I think Queen Victoria, once her husband died, wore a lot of black. But Zane Grey, he's best known for writing adventure novels, westerns, idealizing the American frontier, and a book called Riders of the Purple Sage has been his best-selling book. Many of his works have been adapted to movies and television shows. I don't remember watching it, but I remember when I was a little girl, there was a show called Zane Grey Theater. Anyway, he was intrigued by history, and I like to think that were he alive today, he might enjoy this day in history. He's long gone now, though. Zane Grey died in 1939 at the age of 67. A bit of World War I news for January 31st. For example, Kaiser Wilhelm II ordered the resumption of unrestricted marine warfare on January 31st, 1917. And goodness gracious, there was a riot in Glasgow, Scotland that began on January 31st, 1919, turned into a battle with tanks. It was so severe that it came to be known as Bloody Friday and Black Friday. This was just 82 days after the end of World War I, and you had people looking to strike against unemployment and for a shorter work week. I think they were aiming for 40 hours a week. They were already arranged for 47 hours a week, but they wanted 40 hours a week, work week. Started out as a strike with picketing and turned into a riot. Anyway, the sheriff became sufficiently alarmed that he called for backup, which came in the form of British military, complete with tanks. Some will say of this event, yeah, but nobody died in that riot. And maybe not in the riot, but there was at least one officer who died later from injuries sustained in the riot. Anyway, the action of this riot lasted nearly 2 weeks, and in the end, the workers did not win the 40-hour work week, but were kept to the previously agreed 47-hour work week. In a little bit brighter news, this is the birthday of baseball great Jackie Robinson, born January 31st, 1919. Of course, he's well known and lovingly remembered as the first African American to play in Major League Baseball in the modern era, breaking the color line when he started playing with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. This was not an easy thing for him at all. No. It's heartbreaking to think how human beings treat other human beings sometimes. But he stuck with it. And eventually won the hearts of even the most hardened racist. That's probably a story for another time, though. It's actually well covered elsewhere. Jackie Robinson was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962 on the first ballot, which, as I have mentioned before, is not the case for every player. Sadly, Jackie Robinson suffered from diabetes and heart disease and died in 1972 at the age of 53. Remarkable individual, Jackie Robinson. Leon Trotsky was exiled to Alma-Ata, a city in Kazakhstan, on January 31st, 1928. See, there's that word, exile. January 31st looks like a good day for baseball greats' birthdays. It's also the birthday of Ernie Banks, born January 31st, 1931. Ernie Banks, born January 31st, 1931. He was a shortstop first baseman, played for the Chicago Cubs. Ernie was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1977, also on the first ballot. Ernie died in 2015 at the age of 83, just 8 days before his 84th birthday. Now, there was a TV show called These Are My Children, the first television daytime soap opera broadcast by NBC station in Chicago in 1949. On January 31st, 1950, President Truman ordered the development of thermonuclear weapons. Well, I guess once that can of worms is open, there's no stopping it. On January 31st, 1961, a chimpanzee named Ham went into outer space in the Mercury Redstone 2 rocket. His name, Ham, I didn't write it down, but he was named after the facility where he'd been trained. There you go. A chimpanzee goes to space in 1961. On January 31st, 1966, the Soviet Union launched the unmanned Lunar 9 spacecraft as part of the Luna program. A blue moon is sort of an extra full moon, usually a second full moon in a month. And a lunar eclipse happens when the moon moves into the Earth's shadow and only happens on the night of the full moon and can be observed from anywhere on the night side of Earth. That lunar eclipse can be observed anywhere on the night side of Earth on the night of a full moon. Now, the only light reaching a totally eclipsed moon is refracted through Earth's atmosphere and makes the moon look reddish, deep auburn, and for that reason is sometimes called a blood moon. A total lunar eclipse can last up to nearly 2 hours and does not require any specialty safety viewing conditions as a solar eclipse does. All that said, both a blue moon and a total lunar eclipse occurred on January 31st, 2018. How about that? And that's all I have for you today. Hope you learned something you didn't know before. I know I sure did. I always do. As always, again, links to my research are in the show notes. Let's see if there's anything else. Yep, there's the playlist that includes all these videos in the show notes, the playlist on YouTube, and I also post them on my blog. No, really. That's what it's called. The blog is called No, Really. And there's a link in the show notes to that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video. And here we are, all done. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty. Let's read that again. Neighbors. Let's try something different here. That might not make it into the video. We'll see. Okay, let's try that again. Not too salty, though. Gotta be just right. No, it's not. Okay, hold on. That's not a nice way to say it.